Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Elena in Costa Rica. If you're new to this channel, I help people move to Costa Rica. So we help you get from wanting to move and not having any plan to moving here with the proper support and an actual tangible plan for how to do everything. And we help you with everything. So that's just the fun part too. So today's video, I want to talk about my first 2 weeks in Costa Rica and what are some of the big mistakes that I made and how that impacted my experience first moving here. It made it very chaotic, very crazy. So again, if you're new to this channel, I have a lot of information about how to move to Costa Rica. This is just kind of my own kind of personal story and what I went through in my first few weeks. So if you are looking for other practical information, please make sure to check out the rest of the channel. There's a lot of good information. Make sure to subscribe. I have new videos each week. So my first mistake when I was moving to Costa Rica, my first 2 weeks, was I was living in a location. There's a guy, he comes around selling bread, so that's what that noise is. I was in, I would call a poor location. So I chose up a mountain, 30 minutes walking uphill. It had an absolute beautiful view. It was very gorgeous. There was many wonderful things about where I was for those 2 weeks. But location-wise, being in a new country, even the small town, so I was up in the hills of Portolón. You probably have no idea what that even is. It was just in the southern zone, actually just north of Dominical. So there was barely even a store down at the bottom of that road, and then, you know, I'd have to wait around for the bus. I didn't understand, which we'll get to that point, didn't understand how to even to get to town. So the location that I chose was not friendly at all, especially for not having a car, being new to the country. I was with some other friends and people there, so it was, you know, that's something that made it better, but we were all kind of floundering around, like, what are we doing, you know? So yeah, that's my one tip of advice. Be mindful of the location that you choose, your first location for your move, because you don't want to be somewhere way out in the boonies where you just don't know how to get to anything, especially if you don't have a car and you're just adjusting to the country. My second part of my second 2 weeks was I had no idea how the transportation system worked. I didn't know when the bus came. I didn't even know how to look up the schedules. I did eventually figure it out. You know, I went to the nearest town, Dominical. They had an information center. I took photos of the bus schedule, but no one told me that you needed to go. Probably you should wait. Depending on the bus, you should get to that station within, like, I don't know, 10, 30, 15 minutes beforehand. As the bus sometimes is right on time, sometimes it's early, sometimes it's late. So I did not understand how the transportation worked. Cabs were pretty expensive. I did not have a car. So I would suggest, so that you don't make the same mistake that I did, is when you do choose where you're going to live, and if you're not going to have a car, make sure that you understand how the transportation there works, what's going to be the best fit for you, and just know how you're going to get around, because this is going to really help you ease that stress of that transition. Number 3, phones. So this is something that we help our clients with. One of the first things that we do when I meet up with my clients when they enter the country is I get their phone working. So number 1, make sure that your phone is unlocked for international travel, because this is another issue that I've been crossing with some clients too, is, you know, they have their phone, but it's not unlocked for international travel, which means that we can't put a chip in it. So I didn't really understand how the phones worked here, how the phone chips worked. I remember I went to the ICE office in Dominical, sat there for, I don't know, 45 minutes. The guy put the thing in my phone, and then voila, I had some internet. I used the Colby, and that's actually those are the cards that I bring for my clients, which I just call and activate them. So I didn't understand how to recharge the phone. So, you know, I got my phone, I'm like, woohoo, I have internet, I can contact my family, great. The house that I was living up in the mountain that I just told you about did not have Wi-Fi, so I was going to fully rely on my phone, whatever service that was, to be in contact with the outside world. Again, adjusting to a new country. I want to be in contact with my family, my close friends, let them know how it's going. And didn't know how to recharge the phone and ran out of data within like a day. So then I'm like, what the heck? Why is this phone not working? I don't know how to recharge it. Now I don't have Wi-Fi. What do I do? So that's another thing. Make sure that you understand how you're going to use your phone, how to recharge it, things like that. So that's one of the, like I said, one of the first things that we do with our clients is I make sure that they have their phone working, they know how to recharge it, and so they have that communication, because that's pretty essential too as you're moving in as well. You might want to be in close contact with your family. You might have to use the maps. You might need to look up things on the internet while you're out and about. So it is important for you to have a working phone. Also, the home now had no Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi at that house. I did not ask about that beforehand. Again, I have a lot of tips for moving on the channel, but really just because I struggled when I moved here, and I'm a pretty adaptable person, but wow, man, I struggled. I made a lot of mistakes, so I don't want you guys to come and make the same mistakes that I did. Another thing that happened during my first 4 weeks was, or my first few weeks, how am I gonna make an income? Yeah, I didn't think that one through either. Luckily, I figured it out. But that's something that I want you guys to think about as well, is how are you going to sustain yourself in the country? I don't recommend coming here and not knowing how you're going to make an income. So nowadays, a lot of people might have online businesses, they might work remotely. So just really evaluate how are you going to make your income, and just know what's legal here. And I do have a video that talks about ways to make money in Costa Rica that are legal. That is so important that you need, if you're going to be working, whether it's from your computer or something else that's going to be producing income for you while you're in the country, you need to make sure that it's legal. So if you want more information on that, you can check out that video. I will have the link down in the description to that as well. The next one I have to mention, my first 2 weeks, I had some pretty uncomfortable sleeping arrangements. I was still acclimating to the climate. Where I was, there was a lot of mosquitoes. As you can see in this photo, I was getting eaten alive. I looked miserable, but I was also hot because I wanted to cover my body, but then I was also hot. And wow, what an adventure. So just getting adjusted to the climate. Make sure that you are choosing a home that's going to be comfortable for you, just to kind of ease that transition again. Some of it's just part of the adventure, and you just have to go through some certain things in life, which could mean uncomfortable sleeping arrangements, but to try to minimize that and make sure that you're getting good rest, your rental is going to be really important, and it's going to be important that you feel comfortable there and that's a good fit for you. Another thing that happened a lot during my first 2 weeks in Costa Rica, I had arrived during September, so we were in the rainy season, and I got stuck in the rain quite a bit, and I didn't bring an umbrella. So learning how, like, what times of day I should be out doing things, what time I should try to make it home before it like downpours for maybe 15 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, you know, it just depends. So that's just something to keep in mind. Pay attention to the climate, how you're gonna plan your day, depending on what season you're here. So that's something that happened to me quite a bit. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so not used to it. I had to get used to the fact that the sun went down earlier. When I got here in September, you know, in the United States, where I was living in Virginia, the sun was going down later. Here, it was like 5, and I was like, where's the sun going? So, yeah, just making sure that you're mindful of the differences of the climate, differences of the weather, getting things done at certain times of the day, depending on whether it's rainy season or dry season. So I can honestly say that my first 2 weeks in Costa Rica were absolutely hectic. I had no idea what I was doing. I think I cried a lot. But I was like, oh my gosh, like I told everyone I was moving. Like I got rid of a lot of stuff. I got rid of my apartment. I got rid of my job in the United States. Like, I have to make this work. So again, my goal here is to help you guys so that you don't struggle like I did. But I also like to be honest that I came here and struggled. I totally cried a lot. I mean, it was a huge adjustment. So I have learned, and also working with clients, how to like soften those blows, and how to, not the blows, but you know, you can see in advance what needs to happen for you or for whatever person, just to make sure that to ease that transition, so it's not such a shock. So you're not dealing with uncomfortable sleeping arrangements, or dealing with not knowing how communication works, or being in a place that doesn't have Wi-Fi, if that's important to you, and especially if you're working. Knowing how the transportation works for your town, and knowing where to get things, that's another thing. Costa Rica's funny. It's like, where do you find certain items? Like envelopes. It's like, where would I go get an envelope? Like, they're not at the grocery stores. So just those little things like that. So I think that's really important. And what I can say, what got me through it all was I met an amazing community of people when I moved down here. Friendly, wonderful, amazing people. So I can say that totally helped me get through all, you know, those first few weeks, those first few months. During that adjustment was just being surrounded by really incredible people, and like interacting with that community, you know, Costa Ricans and other expats. And another thing I would say is just like another little extra tip of advice, having a routine still, because living here is obviously different than being on vacation, and you know that. So I like to ask my clients about like what kind of routine do they imagine themselves having in their lives for the long term? Because, you know, if you are coming down here and you don't have a whole lot to do, or maybe you're not working, you know, you can fall into, all right, well, what do I do? You know, after a few months, I'm doing the same thing every day. So I think it's still important to have a routine. Think about what are some things you might want to learn, whether it's an activity like surfing, or you know, if you like to take walks or hiking or fishing, or so, you know, what activities do you want to get into? Is there a certain way that you want to get involved into the community? And yeah, still having a daily routine while living here, even a daily work routine. You know, how if you came here for more balance, you know, still having that balance while you're working and making sure that you're enjoying the country and enjoying your life here. So that was just a little blurb about my first 2 weeks. It was like actually it was like more than 2 weeks. Very intense, lots of tears, lots of confusion, but also lots of wonderful things, like just being in total awe of all the nature, meeting incredible people, like learning so many different things about health, or, you know, just in the community that around where I was living, just meeting so many different types of people from different, you know, walks of life who have different experiences. So I can say it was like the most intense, but also one of the most incredible times of my life. And I'm very thankful for that. And I just wanted to share it with you because, again, a lot of the purpose of this information is so that you don't make a lot of the same mistakes I did. So I hope that you find the channel helpful. And as always, you know, if you are moving to Costa Rica, so my clients reach out to me when they know that they are moving. That is the appropriate time. If you need assistance with the logistics, if you need assistance with your arrangements, with your arrival, and with like acclimating into the country, that's what we do. That's what our team does. So feel free to reach out if that does sound like you and you will be needing assistance. Otherwise, there's lots of free information out there. You can do this, but again, if you do need that assistance, you can reach out to us if you know that you're moving. Right, well, that was my video for today. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And again, go check out more videos for more information. Thanks for watching.